Hello, nerds! Welcome to Nerd Nite Tokyo 41.9.1 Daggers and Droppings, our online show for October 2020. This is month 7 and show 6 since we moved things online. There are some great things about the show being online. We've been able to have some great speakers from all over the world, but you know what? I really miss our in-person shows. How about you? Let us know in the chat. Hey, in case you're new here, Nerd Nite Tokyo is the local, branch office of the global Nerd Nite organization. Nerd Nite is an event that features bite-sized talks by experts in a casual setting, usually accompanied by alcoholic beverages. While we're online, of course, you'll have to provide drink service for yourself. We hold an event every month, and the next one is scheduled for November 13th, so make sure you mark your calendars. The show will feature our usual slate of 3 smart speakers. Check for updates on our Facebook page, Twitter, or on our website, tokyo.nerdnite.com. Nite is spelled N-I-T-E. Yeah, that still drives me nuts. Hey, what have we got here? It's the Nerd Nite Tokyo beakers, and ooh, look at them, they're buck naked. Scandalous! These beakers are made from lab-grade glass and are not wearing a stitch of clothing. Yummy! You can use them for hot or cold drinks, or just ogle them on the shelf. You don't need to undress them with your eyes because they are only wearing their birthday suits after all. Titillating! I am currently holding mine, condensation from my cold beverage wet against my fingers, beading on its smooth surface and dripping onto my desk. It's less expensive than a lap dance, less likely to bump into furniture than a Chippendale dancer. Get your beaker today by heading over to the support page at ytg.jp. What is YTG, you may ask? Well, Nerd Nite Tokyo is a production of and a fundraiser for the Yokohama Theater Group, or those initials, YTG, a non-profit theater company dedicated to creating challenging, original works of theater as well as theater training and education. If you didn't buy a ticket tonight and have since decided you want to support us, or if you want to buy one of these, so very sensual beakers, head over to ytg.jp and click the support button. And now, we come to our agenda for tonight. Up first, Alex Watson tells us about footnotes. Are they pesky interruptions or invaluable literary tools? Yes, there is actually a weird and wacky history of footnotes. See footnote. Our second speaker, Hiroyuki Tajima, is going to talk about... Sorry, wait, is this right? Projectile penguin poo. Oh, and math. Rounding out our evening is Rumpa, who will be telling us how molecules interact in quantum crystallography. I'll let her know that my birthstone is zircon. All the talks will be followed by a live Q&A, so when you have a question, post it in the YouTube chat, and our team, featuring my co-boss Amanda, Don Warren Human, bartender Ian, and whatever other members of the team are floating around, will pass your questions along to me to ask our speakers. That was a really tortured, paragraph-long sentence. My apologies. After each of the first 2 talks, there will be a 7-minute intermission for you to go to the little nerds room or refill your drink, or you know what? Treat yourself. Both. Do both. And now, without further preamble, allow me to introduce our first speaker. Alex Watson is Associate Professor at the School of Arts and Letters, Meiji University. He's originally from the UK and received a D.Phil. Is that the same as a PhD? Someone's going to have to fill me in. Fill me in. A D.Phil in English from the University of York in 2007. Alex's research interests include British Romanticism, marginalia, paratexts, Gothic fiction, and cinema. And his latest project is on 19th century Anglophone literature in the Asia-Pacific region. His articles have appeared in Wall Street International and Kyoto Journal, and he is one of the co-organizers of Tokyo Humanities Cafe, a nerdy local event for the lit and art set. Check it out. Just do a Google search. Anyway, now Alex is going to tell us how he learned to stop worrying and love the footnote.
Hi there. My name's Alex Watson. I'm, as the introduction said, Associate Professor at the English Department at Meiji University, but I'm also main organizer of Tokyo Humanities. So I'm really, really excited and pleased to be here at Nerd Night. I'm speaking in my guise as a specialist on footnotes. So when I tell people I'm interested in footnotes, I get obviously weird looks, but then I get usually one of two comments. Firstly, oh, that sounds very specialized. Well, in fact, no, it's really not that specialized. Most books have footnotes, but also that that's very academic. You know, it's very ivory tower academia. Now, really, if you think about it, footnotes are not very much different from comments on Facebook or Twitter. So really, they're an early form of what at present is really the dominant form of kind of textual communication. So it's really very familiar with footnotes. But as I say, I look at footnotes in the printed books. So I'm going to give you a kind of whistle-stop tour of some of the ways in which footnotes are used, but also as a kind of defense. So why do I say a defense? Well, I think footnotes are a often maligned form. So many of us probably have traumatic memories of being undergraduates and then having to learn one complicated citation system for one professor and then have another professor tell us, oh, that's completely wrong, and then have to learn a new one. So writers are often, when they talk about footnotes, often very critical of them. So the playwright Noel Coward said that reading a footnote was like having to go downstairs to answer the doorbell while making love. So the implication being that the sex, the excitement's in the main text, but the footnote's a boring chore. Footnotes also excite kind of an anger, I think, that is disproportionate to their apparent marginality. So the law professor Fred Rodell once commented that a writer who tacks on footnotes just because they look pretty or because it's the thing to do ought to be tried for willful murder of his readers' eyesight and patience. Footnotes also often attract a very effusive language. So Louis Menand in the New Yorker described a footnote as the arbitrary residue of ancient pedantries whose raison d'etre are long past reconstructing. Ooh. Well, obviously, to you and me, what he's saying is, why do we have footnotes? Does anyone know why we're actually writing these? So I want to give you some reasons. So I've found footnotes compared to a mask, a viper's nest, a tomb, an aberration, a fetish, and excrescence. So Samuel Johnson, famous writer of the dictionary, if you know Blackadder, you know it's the most pointless book since How to Speak French was translated into French. He was an avid footnoter, but when he wrote about footnotes, he criticized them. So he said, with a reader who reads footnotes, the mind is refrigerated by interruption. The thoughts are diverted from the principal subject. The reader is weary. He suspects not why, and at last throws away the book, which he has too diligently studied. So the implication here that footnotes are alienating. They're boring, but also there's something underhanded about them. We suspect not why they alienate us. So how can you defend footnotes? Well, I think I've distilled all the different footnotes I've looked at into three kind of core uses, which I'm going to explain to you in the rest of the talk. So I'm going to say that footnotes enable you to build your intellectual battalions. They enable you to speak in two voices at once, and they allow you to play games of hide and seek. What do I mean? Well, first one, build battalions. What I mean is that footnotes allow you to show your intellectual credentials. They're like a certificate on the wall. They enable you to display the evidence for your claims and establish your own authority, but also invest authority in other people. And it's interesting that if you think that lots of academic research, its importance is assessed based on how many citations it gets. So footnotes are kind of fortification. So law articles are a great example where you have lots and lots of footnotes. So Arnold S. Jacobs' seminal and analysis of section 16 is the most footnoted article I know of. So it has 4,824 footnotes. So you can do this in clever and cunning ways, and often it's a lightness of touch is appreciated. So one example here is Ferdinand Braudel, who writes this vast footnote giving all these citations, but he starts saying, this is not the place for a detailed discussion of this controversial issue. The implication being, you think this footnote is long? I have pages and pages more citations that I'm just not going to bother with. Real protection. So you can also protect your writing by pointing out exceptions. So one example is the historian A.G.P. Taylor, who wrote histories of 19th century and 20th century European history. And he always found Italian history too difficult to deal with. So in one book, he just simply writes, it's wearisome to add except the Italians to every generalization. Henceforth, it may be assumed. So he's defending himself, he's covering his back, but he's also, in a sense, marginalizing the Italians there. So this use of citation to support yourself can also be subverted, though. So if you've got one example is Nikolai Berdichev, his classic footnote, ostensibly to cite some evidence. He says, this was once revealed to me in a dream. So what status does a dream have as a form of evidence? It's somewhat mysterious, but what's interesting here is how the footnote can reveal and encapsulate the writer in an important way. So Berdichev's obviously very intellectual writer, but kind of visionary writer, and it kind of encapsulates something about him. So this use of footnotes to build your battalions and protect your text can also go wrong. So sometimes writers express their frustration in the footnotes. So here's one from Giles Slade, American Exodus. This figure is from a New York Times article of the period, and will probably show up if you search keywords for barge captain, 1,258 dead horses, or Barren Island in ProQuest historical newspapers. I've lost the bloody reference, and I'm confessing my carelessness to the world instead of spending the day looking for the exact piece. Perhaps you could just trust me on this one. If you can, then I thank you. Such resignation. So use of footnotes to build your battalions is also important because it can go wrong. So one example here is Thomas James Mathias's The Pursuits of Literature, which was a poem published in the 18th century with long footnotes. And Mathias kept on republishing it and adding to the footnotes so that you get one line of text eventually and then several pages of footnotes. But what's interesting is that readers of the time didn't really care for the text, but they really enjoyed the footnotes. So Lord Byron said of this poem, "The Pursuits of Literature is notoriously, as far as the poetry goes, the worst written of its kind. The world has long been but of one opinion, viz. That its sole merit lies in the notes, which are indisputably excellent." So that's one use, building your battalions, defending yourself with your footnotes. Another use is that you can speak in two voices at once. So you can contradict yourself. You can say one thing in the main text and something different in the footnotes. So Edward Gibbon, famous 18th century historian of ancient Rome, wrote this vast history of ancient Rome. So, and he had these hilarious ironic footnotes. So one example here, Marcus Aurelius, obviously a Roman dude, thanks the gods who have bestowed on him a wife so faithful, so gentle, of such wonderful simplicity of manners. And there's a footnote saying the world has long laughed at the credulity of Marcus, i.e. what an idiot Marcus is. So what's interesting is it creates this kind of ironic distance between the reader and the book. So this kind of speaking into voices can be a direct contradiction. So here's an example from Terry Pratchett. He says, sunlight poured like molten gold across the landscape, and then footnotes, trees didn't burst into flame. A better simile would be not like molten gold. So what's interesting about this kind of footnote is it shows how, when I read that out, I have to say one thing and then I contradict myself. So in time, I say one thing and then something else happens. But in the actual world of the text, those two statements happen at the same time. So I'm literally contradicting myself at the same time. You can't have this effect in spoken discourse, this kind of contradiction. So this speaking into voices can also become interesting when editors start to conflict with authors. So this is often writers will spend very short time writing something, and editors will spend far longer writing about it. So they'll end up knowing far more about a book than the author themselves, and therefore they often need to assert this in some way. So George Orwell, in his correspondence, is writing about a book he wrote called Coming Up for Air, and he says, Coming Up for Air hasn't got a single semicolon in it. An editorial note intervenes to say, despite Orwell's express wishes, the uniform edition includes 3 semicolons. Good shit, Orwell, I think he's so clever. Okay, so I'm just going to flip over that example, but a further example of this in fiction is Vladimir Nabokov's Pale Fire. So this is a novel, but it's a fictional poem written by a guy called John Shade, who's supposed to have died. And then a different character edits it, and he gives lots and lots of different footnotes. And the reader quickly realizes that the footnotes have a very distant, oblique relationship with the poem, and that Kimbote is kind of slightly, or more than slightly, crazy. So it's this interesting meditation in some ways on the relationship between a writer and reader, but it's also very informative about footnotes. So Kimbote speculates human life is but a series of footnotes to a vast, obscure, unfinished masterpiece. I agree entirely. So these are further examples of exhaustive annotation that can sometimes overwhelm a text. Here also you can get more than 2 voices. So examples here are the footnotes in Mark Danielewski's House of Leaves, which beyond footnotes, there are all sorts of different commentaries with different voices speaking at the same time. Or this short story by the science fiction writer J.G. Ballard, Notes Towards a Mental Breakdown. The short story is a single sentence. Every word is annotated, including a and the story itself is the annotations. So it's all about kind of mental breakdown. So the annotation themselves are a kind of fragmentation. Okay, so the third kind of activity you can engage in your annotation is playing games of hide and seek. What do I mean by this? Well, the thing is about footnotes is people don't always read them. So you can actually hide things in your footnotes. So an example here is from Richard Bock, DeVoe, and Vellman's Stats Modeling the World. So this is chapter 1. This is a footnote, and it says, this chapter might have been called Introduction, but nobody reads the introduction, and we wanted you to read this. We feel safe admitting this here in the footnote because nobody reads footnotes either. So sometimes you can direct your reader in different directions, and this gets more complicated in more sophisticated examples, but here's a simple one. Alistair Gray's novel Lanark has a footnote that simply says see endnote, so pushing you onward. So often you can kind of intimate something or hide something while revealing it. So in L. Puddle's Digit Reversal Without Apology, a mathematics article, it cites T.J. Kaczynski, and then the footnote simply reads, better known for other work. Well, what other work are we talking about? Well, Kaczynski was a mathematics professor, but he was also the Unabomber. So kind of interesting, kind of anarchist terrorist by Nite. Okay, so another example is of hide and seek is how authors will often use their footnotes to admit something that they're dancing around in the main text. So here's a great example from Christopher Hitchens. He remembers in his autobiography, Hitch 22, "My first job ended when the editor said something to me that made it impossible to go on working for him," implying that he had some kind of heroic resignation. And the footnote just simply reads, "You're fired," with the exact words as I remember them. So footnotes can also reveal you and expose you. So this comes from a story another professor told me, where he was reading this amazing essay by a student. He thought, this is fantastic, until he read a footnote that said, "In my previous art book, I argued." And he figured out this was not the work of an 18-year-old. So revealed plagiarism. But there's also great examples of misdirection in footnotes. So anyone who's done an undergraduate course in English literature will have read T.S. Eliot's modernist kind of masterpiece, The Wasteland. It's kind of dense, elusive poem. And it has this, it's very long, and it has a series of footnotes in which Eliot explains his allusions to ethnography, comparative religion, all sorts of complicated, interesting things. And many professors, after it was published, made careers explaining and exploring these allusions. But late in his life, T.S. Eliot was asked about these footnotes. And he said that he originally wrote the poem and then wanted it published in one volume. And then the publisher said, "We need more pages to print a volume." So he just simply added a few footnotes to fill out the volume. And that the actual footnotes themselves were a kind of wild goose chase, as he described them. So yeah, another form of hide and seek is how footnotes enable you to enter into discussions and conversations that you're not normally allowed to. And this is particularly the case with marginalized groups, who often can say more contentious things in their footnotes. So a great example is 18th and 19th century women writers who were kind of allowed to be, so being a poet or a novelist was an accepted female profession, but being a scientist or a historian was more male territory. So you get writers like Charlotte Smith, who's a poet, and Sidney Owenson, who write about science and ethnography and history in their footnotes. So there's this space where they are allowed to talk about things and kind of enter into a kind of territory that they're not normally allowed to discuss. Okay, so I've told you a bit about footnotes. I've said why I'm defending them, that they're often maligned. I've talked about our refrigerated minds, and I've pointed out three main uses that footnotes enable you to build your intellectual battalions. They enable you to speak in two voices, like Two-Face, textual Two-Face, and they enable you to play games and hide and seek. So they create a frame for what you're writing, and that can help you create the context and meaning. But also, I think there's something about footnotes that's really exciting, which is that they're always, like internet connections, they're always pushing you onwards to the next book, to the next idea. So there's something, even though they're seen as an imperfection, I think there is something liberating about that imperfection. So I think the sentiment of Leonard Cohen in Anthem is quite relevant here, where he says there's a crack in everything, that's how the light gets in. Okay, so there I rest my defense. And just if you're interested in me, my Twitter's at AlexWatt, 172000119. I have a website here. And if you're interested in my current project, which is about annotation in writing on the Pacific, please check out this link. Okay, thanks very much.
Okay, thanks, Alex. Yeah, we got about a 30-second delay on the live stream, so we're gonna wait for hopefully some questions to roll in. I do have one, but if anyone else has been holding questions back, now is the time to start typing those into Zoom chat. So, first question is, do you see a relevant distinction between footnotes and endnotes?
Yes and no. There's no absolute distinction, but I think so putting something at the bottom of the page means that you're more likely to look at it at the same time. So there's more of a relationship between the main text and the footnote. But with an endnote, what I would say is that endnotes, because they're a series, they can create a kind of relationship among themselves. So they can often connect in interesting ways.
Okay. I hope, Don, if that answers the question. If that doesn't, let me know. I have a question from Rachel. Hi, Rachel. I'm curious as to whether there are any instances of footnotes and texts that are far from academia, like children's books, perhaps.
Yeah, there's is it Jonathan Strange and Dr. Norrell. That's a children's book, isn't it?
No,
I think is that not?
no, it's like that's Terry Pratchett level, like in terms of
Yeah,
age.
I don't know of anything that's like really for quite basic readers, but I don't see that there's any. I could imagine that being created. Obviously, we associate annotation with being with sophistication because it's complicated. Yeah, there's all sorts of different things.
Cool. Sorry, I got a note about my volume being too loud, so I have dropped it. Somebody let me know if that's not too loud anymore. Yeah. So someone's. This is more of an observation than a question. Sorry, I'm reading it as it comes in. Half the fun of the thrilling adventures of Lovelace and Babbage is in the footnotes and endnotes.
Okay, that's nice. I'll check the one now. Lovelace and Babbage. Yeah, I think the fun is a great word because you can have all sorts of exciting adventures, and it enables you to engage in lots of kind of conversations.
Yeah, I'm thinking like my first experience with footnotes actually probably would have been Watership Down that I read when I was like 9 or 10. And
that's a children's book, isn't it? Or,
it's a children's. I mean, it's not. It's written.
Yeah, it's an adult book.
Yeah, they give it to children because it's about rabbits. But I mean, there's a lot. It's pretty grim. It's a very grim book. And no, I remember because the footnotes in that book are mostly about like wild rabbit behavior. So he'll go into or the culture, this world he's made up, the Richard Adams made up for the rabbits, like explaining where some of the language comes from, because that wasn't part of the main text. This was like a secondary text, so that you could get some of the you could do some of the world building in a way that it wouldn't make sense to do in the narrative itself.
Yeah, so I think what you're saying about world building is exactly right, about how footnotes create a sense of realism about something, but also they often enable you to blend fiction or poetry with what we think of as factual writing. So writing that's on those kind of boundary often has footnotes.
It was you had Leonard Cohen up there, and there's a book of his poetry. I can't remember the name of it right now. It's not Book of Longing. It's an earlier one. But there's one where he wrote it, and then he went back through and wrote commentary on all. They weren't quite footnotes, but he wrote like each poem had a commentary, which was him basically criticizing his own poem.
So you often have also marginalia, which is kind of what you're saying with readers writing comments, and ultimately there's a fluid boundary between those two things, I think. I mean, there is a difference between a footnote, which is printed, and then a marginal comment, which is written in. But they often have a similar logic of trying to compare something, trying to expand something.
Right. There's actually the Midrash, it's like rabbinical commentary on the Torah. It's basically all like from my understanding is like centuries of rabbis sort of writing in the margins of. And you get these some of the really weird stories that come out of there are pretty cool.
Yeah, so lots of traditions are built on footnotes or notes or commentary in some form. Footnotes enable you to trace the kind of evolution of an idea often, and enable you to incorporate new voices. But yeah, you're right that there's a broader tradition of religious commentary. So footnotes, the actual footnotes, an 18th century invention.
Right.
You don't get footnotes before. You obviously get like marginal glosses and all other forms of commentary, and that's really the beginnings of the humanities as well. When people have books, and then they're trying to figure out, well, what's the context for this? What does this book actually mean? They write in commentary.
I see. Louise Louise Kawai asks, she says, I'm a literary translator, Japanese to English, and I'm asked by editors not to use any footnotes as it will spoil the reader's enjoyment of the story. How do you feel about this? Would you prefer to have footnotes to explain aspects of Japanese culture as you read or not?
Okay, I have a somewhat equivocal attitude because on the one hand, I think that footnotes are a great space to expand and be creative and relate all sorts of different things. On the other hand, I have to spend a lot of time reading some pretty crazy footnotes. And my general attitude is economy is the best thing. I think publishers often have a somewhat simplistic idea of footnotes and also of readers. I mean, you often get this with like academic monographs, which the only people reading them are going to be PhD students and academics. And then the publisher says, oh, well, we can't have footnotes because that will spoil the general reader. It's like, really, how many general readers who are reading this kind of book are that bothered by a few footnotes? So I think it's all about context, isn't it? It's all about context.
Yeah.
If you're using them constructively, and it's also about balance, isn't it? I mean, again, there's a inbuilt danger of footnotes, which is that they can take over the text. Like I said with Thomas James Matthias, they can overwhelm everything, and then the translator ends up taking over.
Yeah, I understand. Although I have to, my interjection here is so they don't, there's no such thing so much, well, it's not there's no such thing, but they're quite rare now, fan subs. But in the 80s, like 80s through the 90s and early 2000s, there were Japanese language things, there are other foreign language things that wouldn't get translated, that wouldn't get subtitles in North America and the West, and so people would make them. And one of my favorite, like Ghost in the Shell 2, not my favorite movie, but the subtitles in that film actually functioned also as footnotes because they make a lot of references to philosophers, just sort of off the cuff. And there's no context given. And the fan subs had these great detailed notes, and they condensed them so you could read them as you were watching. It was one of the most amazing things ever. It was like the closest thing I've ever seen in a film to a footnote.
Yeah, you can get a commentary, running commentary. Yeah.
So someone named 4i Productions says, footnote, the word is built out of foot and note. I wonder what footnote culture is like in other cultures, and if their compound word or their word for it is very different. Do you have any idea about this?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but footnote obviously comes from Western printed books because it's the foot of our books, and it's an idea that there's a certain, we've got this main text that is organized in a certain way. So I remember speaking to some Chinese students about this. And they were telling me, oh, no, it doesn't work. We don't often use footnotes. There's other forms of commentary that you can integrate kanji with. So I don't know. I don't know the specific words off the top of my head. That's a good question.
Rod asks, given where we live, Tokyo, have you noticed any significant differences in how Japanese people use footnotes? I would say that presumably in English then?
Well, okay. So my experience of Japanese people using footnotes is in English. So in that case, then with my students, I have to teach them how to do footnotes, and then with other academics, they'll use them. I mean, I think anything that's kind of academic has this empirical nature where you have to show your sources and demonstrate that. So in general, people tend to follow the similar conventions across cultures. But it's just when you're doing things that are more creative or broader, then you get into some more unusual territory.
I see. Sorry, 4i Productions. That was Ian. I got that question twice, so now I know who that is. Jumping back up, Dawn asked earlier, does world building, because we were talking about world building, does that count as a fourth use, or does it fall under one of the first three uses that you gave us?
That's a good point. I think of building battalions as being related to world building. I mean, the same word. So even if it's an imaginative world that you're presenting, it's demonstrating a sense to create a sense of reality, even if it's not an actual reality. So it's to create a sense of authenticity about the world that you're creating. So I would put that under building battalions. But these labels are just 3 ways of explaining footnotes. Obviously, there's far more to it than that.
I see. So there's a discussion going on down there in the YouTube chat. Rod was saying that they don't in Japanese, I guess is what he's referring. They don't have to have obtrusive marks. They can be done just by referring to the page and paragraph of a quote or quote in endnotes.
Okay, thanks. That's really helpful.
I think that's what he's talking about. Sorry, I'm not following that conversation. I just realized something interesting was happening there.
About that, I would love to hear about it.
Yeah. Okay. I think that might be it. I don't see any other questions coming in. Do you have anything else you want to add at the end? I've been so busy focused on these questions, I have not had a chance to come up with my own.
What about footnotes or in general?
In general, footnotes. Yeah, anything else?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. I'm not hearing any. I'm vamping a little bit just because
thanks for the questions. Thanks for the questions.
They're 30 seconds behind us, so I want to make sure that okay. I think I vamped long enough. Yeah. So that was super fascinating. It's interesting. I was wondering. So just your personal question, what was your first experience with footnotes?
My first experience.
Yeah. Do you remember?
I don't remember my first experience with footnotes, but I do remember thinking of this, the idea, and it came from a poem, John Hamilton Reynolds' version of Peter Bell III or something. But it was a parody of a different writer. But what was great was he wrote all these footnotes, imitating the writer. But then he published it, and then the writer published something almost exactly the same as his parody. Because the writer didn't know about the parody, so almost like the same day he'd been skewered in the footnotes. So that's when I got really interested in them.
I see. So yeah, that looks like it. Thank you so much. And so for everyone else, we're going to throw to a 7-minute break, and then we will be back with the next talk. So let me just push the buttons and make sure hopefully nothing blows up. Again, thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you.
Okay, I've started the clock. We're going to take a 7-minute break. Do what you got to do, nerds. I'll see you back here in 7 minutes. Hey. This is your friendly neighborhood Nerd Night co-boss, Andrew. This is your 2-minute warning. That's what I'm doing. It's your 2-minute warning. So if you haven't got your drink already, now's the time. Run and get it. Be back in your seat, and we're going to start again in 2 minutes. Hey, just a reminder, if you're just joining us now, that Nerd Night Tokyo functions as a fundraiser for the Yokohama Theater Group, which is a non-profit theater company. Obviously, things are shut down right now because of COVID-19, and we're not doing live Nerd Nights and selling tickets and that kind of thing. So, if you'd like to help us out, if you're enjoying yourself tonight, and you can, if you're in a position where you can, I know a lot of us who are freelancers and other types of workers have not got a lot of income right now, but if you do, and you are, and you can, and you want to, check out ytg.jp or any of the tip links that I will have posted in the video description, and help us out. Maybe buy a virtual ticket for 1,000 yen, or whatever you like, whatever you can spare would be helpful to us. Okay. That's it. Thank you so much. Welcome back from the break. I hope everyone's got a drink and is comfortable. Before we launch into our second speaker, I just wanted to make a quick self-serving plug for YTG's podcast. The podcast is called Miss Charlotte's Finishing School for Wayward Readers, and in it, a group of us discuss a piece of 19th century literature, several chapters at a time, while competing for points, because why not? The points are assigned both arbitrarily and often vindictively by the titular Miss Charlotte Sampson, an expert on the subject of 19th century literature. There are several episodes released, with an 8th dropping this coming weekend, so check that out. In case you're wondering, this isn't just random. This show has indeed got a Nerd Night connection beyond myself. Our first book that we're currently reading is Wuthering Heights, and that was inspired by a Nerd Night talk given by Judith Pascoe this past February. In addition, 2 of the readers on the show have graced the Nerd Night stage in the past. Daniel wishes to perform some nanomaterials-related puppetry at our Science by Theater event in March of 2017, and the second former speaker was Emmy Doe. She's also spoken for us twice now. Last Nerd Night, she was a speaker, and then a couple years before that, she even recorded a couple of episodes from the top of a mountain, because that's the kind of crazy thing she does. In any case, give us a listen, either by going to the address on the screen or by searching Wayward Readers in your podcasting app. We're also looking for new readers for Season 2, so hey, if that sounds like it's up your alley, drop us a line on the site. And now, on with the show. Hiroyuki Tajima is from Saitama and currently works at Kochi University. His research interests are theoretical physics of ultra-cold atoms, superconductivity, nuclear matter, and, of course, penguin feces, which he's going to tell us about tonight. Just the last one, penguin feces. When he's not calculating the trajectories of penguin poo-poos, Hiroyuki enjoys weightlifting. It sounds like a non sequitur. Anyway, now let's find out how to socially distance from penguins when we visit the aquarium. Let's find out exactly how far we need to socially distance, huh? All right, take it away, Hiroyuki.
Three. So sorry, shall I share my slide? Okay. Okay. Just before, I like to my name is Hiro. It's just introduction for is okay. My name is my name is Hiroyuki Tajima from Kochi University. I'm now working in the theoretical physics, but my main research is what are called atoms and neutron star and so on. But of course, I also now working on the penguin species. So today, I like to explain our research of the how far penguins species flies. It is very important for at least for the aquarium keeper. So in addition, I'm also interested in the such a strong power even in a small body of the penguins. Is okay. Okay, so this is just a slide for the my presentation. So collaborator is Mr. Fumiya Furisawa in Katsurahama Aquarium in Kochi Prefecture. So the title is Projectile Pressure and the Stinky Mass or Penguin's Poo. So just before that, I'd like to explain where is the Kochi. So I'm now in the Kochi. This is the map of the Japan. So Kochi is this red area here. So famous, Kochi is some has a various famous festival and culture. One of the most famous one is so-called Yosakoi festival. So in summertime, people in Kochi dances as like this. Then another important point is a delicious food in the Kochi. This is a so-called katsuo no tataki. It is a skipjack bonite. It's very delicious. If you have a chance to come to the Kochi, you can enjoy these food. Then, okay, I like to move to the main topics of this one. But it was important because this study starting from the Kochi prefecture. Here, I like to explain of course, most of you knows what are penguins. So penguins are aquatic bird living mostly in the southern hemisphere. So this light blue region is a habitation area of the penguins. So actually, they do not live in the northern hemisphere, but so you can find a lot of penguins in the aquarium. So in Japan, so these penguins are a very popular animal, which can be seen in the various aquarium. So actually, so I had the Japanese aquarium has a lot of number of the penguins in Japan. So the starting point of our work is a research done by the Professor Victor Ameya-Rojo and Dr. Joseph Gall, entitled by the pressures produced when penguins poo, the calculation on the avian defecation. This was published in the academic journal called Polar Biology. So this research got the Ig Nobel Prize in 2005. So actually, this research is deeply related to Japan. So first of all, Professor Beno, he was in the Hachijojima in Japan. So this is can you find maybe so it might be small, but this is a map of the Island in Tokyo. So here you can find the so-called Hachijojima in this red square. So actually he was in the Research Institute of Luminous Organisms in Hachijojima until 2018. Okay, then so I like to explain why they study the penguins. So this is penguins from the actually they took a picture of the penguins in the near southern pole. So this is a nest. So there are some small stones and some this nest is now decorated as like this. Some white lines as like this. So when he visited Kisasato University in Japan, and he had a lecture about the penguins. So then one student asked a question. So how do the penguins decorate their nest? But Professor Beno answered that they get up, move to the edge of the nest, turn around, bend over, and shoot. Poo. Yes. Then student was brushed because of the she did not realize what is this white lines. On the other hand, he was interested in why penguins shoots the fishes in such a way. So this is the detail of their research. So they consider such kind of the situation. So penguins is now standing on the ground. So this small hill mimics a nest, and so they first they measure the distance of the feces in this situation. So here height of the bottom is around 20 centimeter, and the flying distance was 40 centimeter, and they also measure the diameter of the penguin's bottom, and from these measurements, they estimate the rectal pressure with as function of the viscosity of feces. So this right figure shows the rectal pressure of penguins. So they found that penguins has a strong rectal pressure to shoot the feces. So you can find some three lines here. So D is the diameter of the penguin's bottom. So rough estimation of the penguin's feces viscosity is around this shaded area, and so you can find this the relevant region of the rectal pressure is around here. So it found to be 10 to the 60 kilopascals. Actually, it was based on. Actually, I also address how this rectal pressure is strong is okay. But anyway, so I'm also interested in such kind of the powerful shooting of the feces. But actually, I have not never saw this paper before when I visited the Katsurahama Aquarium. Actually, so my collaborator, Fumiya, told me such interesting paper. So when I visited to the Katsurahama Aquarium, the Katsurahama Aquarium is actually small aquarium, but this aquarium also keeps around 49 Humboldt penguins in so-called penguin danji in Japanese. So this is just penguin residents. So yeah, now so there are a lot of penguins, and they have some name tag on their left wing, as like this. So yeah, actually, I was interested in the how how they behave in the in their life. So so one day, Fumiya told me sometimes they are embarrassed by troubled by the flying feces on penguins. So as like this. So this shooting is actually not just so in the Ig Nobel research they measure the distance and it was 40 centimeter, but actually not usually this flying distance is longer than this measurement. So in this, so yeah, to avoid, so actually, so when they clean up the penguins residence, sometimes they shoot the fishes on the face or crosses. So in this sense, he wanted to know how far penguins feces fly. Okay, so yeah, here I like to mention clearly mention the purpose of our study. So one of them is to estimate the maximum flying distance of penguin species. So it would be a useful information for aquarium keepers, I believe. Then actually I'm interested in the penguin's rectal pressure. So then so the second purpose is revisited the penguin's rectal pressure when they shoot the fishes. So by updating the numerical calculation of the flying distance, so it might be useful something, but actually I'm not sure it's really useful or not, but I expect in in the future it might be useful for the biomimicry. Okay, so then first we address the flying distance of penguin species. For this purpose, we solve the Newton's equation of motion of penguin species. So maybe so this is a very famous equation in the physics. So m is the mass of the penguin species, and r is the position vector of the penguin species. And this d and dt is a time derivative. It means it's tracks the time dependence of the position of the feces. So here z is a gravitation constant. It is very it is around 9.8 meter per second scale. And here we actually consider the air resistance term is proportional to the velocity of penguin species. But actually in the practical calculation, just we neglect this term. So so my collaborator Fumiya told me the situation when where penguins shoot the fishes. So usually penguins shoot the fishes from the nest, which is higher around one or 2 meter height from the ground. So from this situation, I consider such kind of a setup. So penguins is now on the rock, namely a nest in the higher place given by the h. H is now height of the penguins on the nest. And Actually, yeah, since Katsuhama Aquarium is not so large aquarium, so we do not have good equipment to measure the initial velocity of the penguin species. So in this regard, we borrow the measured value of the initial velocity from the Ig Nobel's research paper. So it was 2 meters per second. On the other hand, in the previous work, they do not consider the angle of the initial velocity, just they assume the horizontal shooting of the feces. But we generalize the shooting of the feces at an arbitrary angle theta. Okay. So then this is the result. So left panel shows when the distance become maximum. So theta is a maximum angle which maximize the flying distance. Here, this figure shows flying distance as function of the angle theta. So in the case of the shooting from on the ground, so this theta should be 45 degree, but now shooting is from the higher place. So this value is becomes smaller than the 45 degrees. So actually, I'm using real height of the nest in the penguin's residence. So then the maximum flying distance can be obtained as like this. So this is just for the we can learn such kind of the solution from the high school physics, but somehow some people might be this equation is complicated, but we can learn this one in the high school physics. Here, y-axis shows the maximum distance as function of the initial height. Since nest is around 1 to the 1 or 2 meters from the ground, so relevant region is around here. So then we can see that maximum flying distance should be smaller than the 1.34 meter, at least in the Katsuhama Aquarium. But it might be a typical environment. So it's just how to say some one of the example in the Katsuhama Aquarium. But so order is unchanged even in other aquarium. In this sense, it is important number, I believe. By the way, if we consider the air resistance, so in this case, at least in Japan, we cannot solve the equation of motion within the high school physics. We have to run the mechanics in the university. So actually, but even in that case, we can solve the equation of motion analytically. So here, x shows horizontal position of the feces, and the y is vertical position as function of the time. So if we estimate when penguin's feces touched on the ground, namely running time, can be obtained by solving the ytz equals 0. So in this case, we can obtain the analytical form of this running time. So this W0 is called so-called Lambert double function. So this means penguin species can be explained by the Lambert W function. So this this figure shows the actual form of the Lambert W function. So when I show this result to the Professor Tetsuo Hatsuda, he is a program director of the Riken items. So yeah, he said, just as written as like this. Sorry. So yeah, he said, I have also encountered this function when we solve the linear sigma model. So you can find more details in our book. This is a actual book of the written by the Hatsuda-san about the quark gluon plasma. So actually, I also theoretical physicist on the core atom physics and the nuclear system, but I have never encountered the Lambert double function. But he gave me a good example of the as a application of the Lambert double function in physics. Okay. Oops. Okay. So then next purpose was estimation of the penguin's vector pressure. So actually, we have solved the equation of motion. So we would like to update the accuracy of the estimation of the penguin species. So important point was actually there are some other ingredient, but I like to make a small short summary of the difference of our work and the previous work. So in the previous work, so yeah, they estimate the fluid volume. Fluid means penguin species. Volume was estimated by the pi r square d. Yeah, r square is radius of the bottom, and here d is actual flying distance. But if you see the our setup, so this is just not previous work just only considers the horizontal motion of the penguin species. But so yeah, we obtain the projectile trajectory of the penguin species. In this sense, a fluid volume is written as like this. So so this is the main difference of our work and the previous work. Then we apply the Hagen-Poiseuille equation to estimate the viscosity correction. And finally, we obtain the penguin's vector pressure as function of the viscosity of the penguin species. Here, I like to note that viscosity is of the penguin species is measured in the previous work, but there are some large ambiguity. So because of the difficulty of the measurement, but anyway, so if we compare our result and the previous work, so yeah, red one is our work, and the previous work is this blue one. So the difference is just around like this. Previous work shows 8.56 to the 20.6 kilopascal, but our estimation shows larger than these values. So here in this estimation, we restrict the range of the viscosity around 0.08 to the 0.1. It's in this region. Okay. But as I mentioned in the previous slide, so actually, we know penguin Richter pressure is around 20 kilopascal, but we cannot recognize how it is strong. So then I demonstrate what happens if humans shoot such kind of the take such kind of a strong shooting. So if of course yes, I I simplify the problem. So for example, I neglect the viscosity, just liquid behave as like a nearly perfect fluid. Then flying distance would be 3 meters. Maybe he or she cannot use the usual restroom. So by the way, I also have a kind comment from the Professor Damtan Song in the University of Chicago. So actually, we refer the paper about the important bound of the viscosity of the quantum fluid. It's called the Coughton-Steinitz bound. So he was very happy that as written here. So their theoretical work finally found a practical application to recognize how strong penguin species is. Okay, so to summarize today's talk, we have investigated how the penguin species rise in the Katsurama aquarium and found that a safety distance would be 1.34 meter. Then we have revisited the penguin's rectal pressure with improving the hydrodynamic treatment and the fluid volume of the penguin species. And finally, the obtained rectal pressure was stronger than the previous work. That's all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. Why don't you put your face back up on the screen so people can see you?
Okay.
And let's see if we got a bunch of questions actually. So let me just. So first question is from somebody named Northern Lights. Okay. I'm just going to send that to you in chat so you can see it as well.
Oh.
Northern Lights wants to know.
Yeah.
Is there any specific reason why penguins are only found in the southern hemisphere?
So actually, I also interested in this point. Actually, I have also asked the aquarium keepers, and actually, so maybe they start habiting from the southern hemisphere, and but actually, I'm had this point, but sorry, I forgot the detail of them. But
Well, it's okay. It wasn't a math question. It wasn't a math question. Next one, also not. You're gonna find. I think people are more interested in the penguins and the poo than the math. The next question is: how many times did you get pooed on by penguins while doing this work?
This means I myself get pooed.
Yeah.
Actually, I do not enter the penguin's residence, so I have never get pooed. But the collaborator Fumia said he gets pooed so many times. Maybe uncountable, I think.
Uncountable. Okay. So I think this was Rod's question. Let me just. Yeah. So this is kind of a math question here. The distance is a proxy for that pressure. Does the pressure tell us anything about the health of the penguin? So actually not a math question, but anyway.
So even in our paper, we also mentioned that rectal pressure depends on the physical condition of the penguins. So I think rectal pressure might be some measure of the health of the penguins, but of course, it is difficult point to do that. Just we estimate the typical distance of the penguin species from the typical value of the physical constants. Yeah.
Okay, so next question is, okay, what if you said you didn't have the space in the aquarium for the equipment to measure the initial velocity of the poop leaving the rectum, what equipment would you need to measure that?
Maybe a speed gun might be one of the candidates, but I'm not sure because we do not try it. But
It's a very small target to hit with a speed
yeah,
gun.
yeah. I'm not sure it might be useful, but one of the candidates is that.
I see. All right, next question. And by the way, everybody, I'm sorry if I'm not getting, if I've lost the names as I'm cutting and pasting these. I'm just making sure that Hiroyuki can read the questions along with us. So I've been sort of cutting and pasting them all over the place.
Oh, okay.
So here, another not math question is, let's see if I can find who said this. I can't. Okay, I can't find who wrote this one. But why do the penguins, quote unquote, decorate their nests?
So, at least in my from my knowledge, when I ask the reason about this decoration and reading some previous work, so one of the reason would be so they want to their nest clean. In this sense, they want to shoot the feces away from their nest. But one of the so why maybe is related to the how far penguins feces, but the why how to say, so some why they shows such symmetric decoration is taken. This point is I think still to be investigated. I think I'm not. This point might be still unrevealed problem. I think.
I see. Okay. Okay. So here's a question. I'm sure you've been asked before. Why? I lost who asked this one. Why did you start this penguin project?
So actually, I was working on the theoretical physics in the somehow extreme condition like a neutron star or a cold atom system. So this kind of the physics is far away from our usual life. So in this sense, I like to demonstrate how physics can be useful for our daily life. So as a activity of the outreach activity. So then I'm looking for some interesting phenomena around daily life. And then when I visited the Katsuhama Aquarium, so Fumiya was how to say he's a very interesting guy. So he has a lot of knowledge about such kind of the biomimetics and some interesting feature of the animals. Then he told me such kind of the topics, and I also interested in this project. Then we start it.
That's that's interesting. So someone in the chat just said extreme conditions in physics, neutron stars, ultra cold atoms, and penguin butts. So next question is, again, not a math question. Come on, guys. I think this is from Melvin. Come on, ask him a complicated math question he can answer. Would diet affect the viscosity of the feces? So I imagine that zoo penguins don't eat the same food as penguins at the South Pole.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So actually, at least in the previous work, they measure the viscosity by using maybe some equipment to measure the viscosity. So maybe viscometer. Forgot the correct name, but so when they measure the viscosity of the feces, actually feces involves not only the just fluid like object, but also include fish bone or some blocks of the fish's meat. I think so. This is problematic because this is not fluid, not the simple fluids. So yeah, in this sense, so this shows some range of the viscosity of penguin fishes by using some shaded area in their main result. So this ambiguity coming from the actually what involved in the penguin species. So in this sense, diets would largely affects the viscosity of feces. So yeah, it would be also important point to obtain more precise results of the flying distance.
Okay. Who? Someone wants to know who made the. Just a second, let me copy that one in. Who made the penguin pooping diagram? It is kawaii.
Thank you. Yeah, I made it.
Oh, good. So I've got a question from Rachel again. Hold on, I have to. Let me just cut and paste this one across. Sorry. This is a new one.
So by the way, I like to mention that. So first, I draw the penguins with yellow. How to say yellow?
Beak?
Yeah. But Fumia was angry because Humboldt penguin usually has pink beaks, so not yellow. So then I have to correct this point.
Yeah.
Angry, well, actually, he criticized this point. Yeah.
Well, that's his area of expertise, I suppose. Rachel wants to know, do you have any plans to do future research on the subject? For example, perhaps analyzing a variety of penguins and trying to understand what factors affect the variance in the distance of the feces.
Yeah. So actually, one of the interesting point is we have when we solve the hydrodynamic equation and equation of motion, we use a lot of approximation. But if we I'm interested in what happens if we directly solve the Navier-Stokes equation or Navier-Stokes equation by using a supercomputer. So then we can see the more detailed the structure of how penguins species behave during the motions. So actually I am a physicist. In this sense, I'm very interested in the physics of the penguin species. Yeah.
I see. Someone asked, I think it's Rachel again. Do you know of similar studies about other animals?
So actually, I also cited another Ig Nobel paper. So in the I guess 2014. So that paper research shows various animals shows how to say time of the urination. Urination time is smaller than around the 20 second. Shorter than 20 seconds in the even in the various size of their body, like elephant or a mouse. but yeah, actually, their how to say, the body is very different, but the urination time is same order. It will be a very interesting point. Actually, they also estimate the pressure of their how to say, yeah, when produce when,
Stream.
yes, yeah. So so but I compare it with yeah, our results. But yeah, penguin species, so penguin's rectal pressure was very strong compared to the yeah, such a pressure.
I see. But I mean, that's a difference too, because birds don't have separate urinary and they don't have separate urinary and defecation like holes, right? Like it's one hole.
Yeah.
It's like it's cloaca or something.
So how to say? Yeah. So in the case of the birds, so urination and defecation coming from the same same hole. So I don't know how to call it, but yeah, I forgot the
Cloaca. I don't know how to pronounce. I know how to spell it. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Which actually, this connects to the next question, because my understanding is that birds don't have control over when they poop. The next question was, did you have to wait for the penguins to poop, or could you force them to do it somehow?
Yeah. Actually, it's difficult to force them to do that. So yeah, actually, we also try to take a movie of the penguin species real time, but yeah, we just wait for the such timing, but it was yeah very difficult. But then we gave up the taking a movie. Then they start pooping. So yeah.
So maybe they do have some control.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I want to poop if someone's pointing a camera at me.
Yeah. I'm sure, but why? But anyway, yeah. It of course, there are yeah animals. It's difficult to control. Yeah, for us, yeah. Of course, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Dawn has just said in the private chat here, really, you couldn't pick up a penguin and squeeze it. But I think Dawn, I don't think we're going to encourage animal cruelty on our show here. I don't think Hiroyuki is going to pick up a penguin and squeeze it to make it poop, and that would also I as I understand, ruin the experiment, because then you're adding extra pressure if you squeeze the penguin.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's it. That's all we have time for. But thank you. Wow, that generated a lot of questions. People are very interested in penguins and poop. Well, I guess yeah, that's our audience. Nerdite audience. Thank you so much. Yeah, and on behalf of everyone, thank you. And I will just we're just gonna go. So the audience knows we're gonna throw to another break now. So I'm just gonna set that up. It takes a second. And here we go. Okay, I've set the clock and put on the music. It's time for another break. See you in 7 minutes.
Don't stop.
Hey, are you ready? Because you've got just 2 minutes to get back in your seat, catch the last talk of the evening. Get that drink, take that pee. 2 minutes.
Stop.
Hey, it's me again. I just wanted to say, in case you're just dropping in midway, that Nerd Night functions as a fundraiser for the Yokohama Theater Group, or YTG as it's known somewhere. And obviously, with things being shut down for COVID-19, things are a little tight for a nonprofit theater company. So if you want to, and I know a lot of us freelancers are kind of in a tight place because of everything having been shut down for so long, but if you can and you want to and you will, why don't you head over to ytg.jp, hit the support button, and there's a whole bunch of options there. Also a reminder, you can buy some lovely Nerd Night beakers. Those are always available, and we're happy to send them out to you since we're not in a position to sell them at the bar, obviously. All right, enjoy the rest of the show. Thanks for staying with us. And now on to our third speaker of the night, Rumpa Pal. Rumpa Pal is from Kolkata, India, and received her PhD from the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. She spent 3 years as a postdoc in Germany and then came to Japan to join the University of Tsukuba. Rumpa is a structural chemist at the interface of chemistry, biology, and material science, and seeks to understand chemical bonds and intermolecular interactions. So, just basic stuff. Apart from research, she is passionate about yoga and meditation and is currently learning to play the ukulele. Hopefully not while performing yoga. Sounds awkward. Now, Rumpa will tell us just how quantum theory and diffraction experiments are shedding new light on atomic structure and bonds. Just basic stuff. Go for it, Rumpa!
Welcome you all for the last talk of today's session, and thank you for your interest to listen something about intermolecular interactions on a Friday night. Let's start together. Just a minute, next slide. Yes. In our high schools, we all have learned, right? Coulomb's law. The opposite charges attract, like charges repel, remember? Now, can we see this in intermolecular interactions? Now, why intermolecular interactions are important? We know graphite, we know diamond. At the elemental level, it is the same carbon. But see, their structures and properties are so different. So to understand these materials, we need to understand the chemical bonding, intermolecular interactions. And once we know the structure, property, then application comes, right? Now, the diamond and graphite, all these are crystals in the solid state, right? And crystals have a very unique property, the arrangement, the periodic arrangement. And actually, we see it in our day-to-day life also. I am from India, and in India, it's a very common picture that fruits are sold in this way, and they are arranged so nicely and effectively. See the way the oranges are arranged or the apples, the close packing. Exactly, we see the similar packing in crystal structures. Now, also at the same time, symmetry plays a very important role. See the whole pattern, this pattern, how to build the pattern from a very simple unit. See this the blue rectangle, if we repeat it in 2 dimensions, we can construct the pattern. Similarly, crystals is a 3 dimensions, it is a 3-dimensional object. So if we repeat the same small unit cell in 3 dimensions, then we get the whole crystal structures. And symmetry, guess what type of symmetry element is present here? It's the mirror plane. And this one, yeah, I am not showing the symmetry element, but of course it is very beautiful picture and very symmetric one. And now, how to see the atoms and their arrangement in the crystal? We cannot see it via visible light, we can see it via X-rays. Now, X-ray and visible light, both are electromagnetic waves, but they have different wavelength, different energies. And the X-rays, though we cannot see directly through our eyes, but X-rays are very important in, of course, medical purposes and also X-ray crystallography. We use the hard X-rays. And now, the principle in optical microscopy and X-ray diffraction is very similar. So in the optical microscope, the visible light actually, with the help of the optical lens, because the light can bend through the lenses, we get the enlarged picture of the object. And similarly, in the X-ray diffraction, of course, we do not have the X-ray lens, but we can see the diffraction pattern in the computer and then do the Fourier synthesis, and we get back the electron density and molecular structure. And maybe some of you are wondering about the terminology, quantum crystallography. So of course, it is combination of both quantum mechanics and crystallography. So from quantum mechanics, we get the wave function properties, and from diffraction and scattering experiment, we get the structure. So in the quantum crystallography, we can see the quantum phenomena of any matter by diffraction experiments and combination of theory. So here we get the electron density and also the wave function. Now, just to keep it in mind, if we know the wave function, we can derive the electron density, but not the vice versa. Yeah, so that's why getting wave function is important, and also electron density can explain various properties. Normally, in the modern technology era, we can get a very high quality data set in our in-house diffractometers. It's a typical single crystal X-ray diffractometer from Rigaku Oxford machines. But also now there are various synchrotron facilities worldwide, and in these facilities, we can get a wide range of X-rays. So we can do various types of experiments. And Spring 8 Japan is one of the very famous facility, and similarly DAISY in Hamburg, Germany. This is also very popular, and people from all over the world come and do experiments here. And just the basic, how we get the structure from single crystal. So at first, crystals look like this, and then we get the diffraction pattern from the experiment. And diffraction pattern, we just get some spots. And from these spots, we can get the crystal structure by, after doing Fourier synthesis and structure determination, we can get the crystal structure. And in this picture, it just shows the molecular diagram, but we can also see the density, electron density distribution. And now we have the method, we have the techniques, we can solve the structure. Now what to study? Now we have the periodic table of elements, so we can study whatever we like. Now I will here focus on some electronegative elements of group 16 and 17 elements. And also, along with the structure, as I just mentioned, we can see the electron density distribution. So we can see the chemical bond. Now see here, bromine, chlorine, these are all halogen atoms, group 17. And normally these are all electronegative atoms. Now where is the positive electron density in these molecules when bromine forms some bonds? So these sigma holes are always positive. So we can see actually holes along the CBr bond. See bromine and chlorine. And also we can see different colors, right? So different properties. And that's why the periodic table is so important to understand all the elements, their properties. And similarly in the pi hole, it's also with selenium, it is the group 16 elements. And these are again electronegative elements, but still there are of course positive electropositive region, and we see the pi holes. And we can also calculate and get all these properties through computations and also experiment. So here I would like to present some of the experimental charge density analysis for these intermolecular interactions, mainly with two properties, electron density and electrostatic potential. Now, first example is the gallic acid. I just saw that gallic acid, the name came from oak galls. And historically in 12th to 19th century, actually this compound was used as writing and drawing ink in Europe. And maybe some of you are wondering about the name. Anyway, gallic acid does not contain the element gallium. It just contains carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And gallic acid commonly used in pharmaceutical industry. And let's see, the molecule is actually very flexible molecule. Let me just show a molecular diagram. The chemistry models here. I just could arrange nice model. So it's very big. But see, because the carbon-oxygen bonds are single bonds, so they can actually rotate. And because that's why the molecule is very flexible. And we can get various forms. So let me again go back to my slides. Yes. Yeah, next slide. Just a minute. Yes. So from the structure, we can get the molecular diagram, and also we can see the electron density distribution. So the blue is electron-rich region, and red is the electron-deficient region. And overall, the molecule looks like this, the electron density distribution in the deformation maps. And electrostatic potential maps look like this. Now here, I would like to stress this point, electrostatic potential mapped on isodensity surface. So it is not just the electrostatic potential, it is mapped on isodensity surface. Now why it is important? Now for a free neutral atom, the electrostatic potential is positive everywhere, and the maximum is at the nucleus. Now when the atom forms molecules, there are some negative regions are created on the surface. So electron density negative, so electrophiles can attack there. But to see the electropositive region on the electron density surface, we need the isodensity, because the maximum value at the nucleus, somehow we have to get rid of the nucleus. So that's why we have chosen this isodensity surface, which does not contain the nucleus anymore. So that's why we can get both the electropositive and electronegative regions here. And electrostatic potential, by the way, is very important quantity for reactivity. To understand molecular reactivity, we need to understand this property. And gallic acid nicely forms these acid dimer. This is a very common pattern in carboxylic acids groups. And in the 3 dimensions, it is packed like one on the top of the other, and we can see the pi hole interaction here. Electrostatic potential looks like that. Yeah. So in this example, we have seen the pi hole bonding. Now in the second example, let's go back to the bromine atom again. Because actually the sigma hole, this concept was derived to explain this halogen bonding. This bromine, chlorine, these are all halogens. So to explain the halogen bonding, this concept was derived at first, this halogen group. And in this compound, the bromine forms two different types of interaction. One is bromine and oxygen. Now here, both oxygen and bromine are electronegative. Now, how this interaction happens? So that's why there are sigma hole on bromine. So the electron density deficient side of bromine interacts with the electron rich side of oxygen. So that's why this bond is actually very stable bond. Similarly, the other interaction that it forms is the hydrogen bond. And in the hydrogen bond, bromine is actually the negative here. Hydrogen is positive, bromine is negative. So see, the bromine atom is no longer spherical, but the electron density around bromine is deformed. So positive region interacts with negative one, and similarly, the negative of bromine interacts with positive hydrogen. And it forms a very stable crystal structure. And then in the last example, we will see about organic isothiocyanate in one compound. And here we can see both sigma and pi hole together. And these are very versatile synthetic intermediates. Now, we have studied some compounds. For one of them, when with leucine compound, it forms this a nice tetragonal pattern. And these perpendicular NCS interactions, we can explain it in terms of sigma and pi hole. So along the extension of the covalent bond of the NCS group on the top of sulfur, there is electron deficient region, so the sigma hole. And pi hole is perpendicular to the NC double bond. So both the holes are there and they interact with respective electron rich regions. And electrostatic potential maps look like this. Yeah. And these sigma and pi holes are very directional bonds. And now, what is the take-home message from today's few minutes about intermolecular interaction? So electrostatic contribution play a major part in intermolecular interactions and also reactivity. And of course, positive sides. These concepts of sigma holes, pi holes helps us to understand the chemical bonding intermolecular interactions. And they interact with the negative sides. And this picture tells us, as in real life, nothing is perfect. Similarly, in crystal structure, also something is not always perfect. So some interactions are very stable, some are not stable, but everything coexists together and it forms a stable crystal structure. And also, once we know that, we can understand the reactivity. Yeah. And arigato gozaimasu, thank you all. And let me just show you some pictures about, I am in Japan, by the way, around 2 years. So what are the things I like it here most is, of course, Japan is the country of rising sun and the Mount Fuji and autumn leaves. And of course, recently I came to know about minerals. By the way, can you guess what mineral is this? It's calcite. Calcite is common only, but in Japan, the calcite is not so common. So it's something rare. Yeah. And hope you have enjoyed. And if you have some questions or comments, please contact me, my profiles. Thank you.
All right, Rumpa, thank you so much. Ow, bonk, I just hit my head on my microphone. Ding dong. Yeah, that's our entertainment for this evening. Okay, I think that was really dense. If there's questions coming, I think people are still brewing. I've got one though lined up. Why Don Warren Human wishes to know why are they called the sigma and pi holes? Is it something to do with the shape?
Yeah, okay, yes, because sigma and pi bonds, these are very common. Like normally when we understand the bonds, these sigma and pi bonds, this comes. So two atoms, when it form like a single bond, like for example, can you see me, right? So sigma bond is like carbon-carbon sigma bond, where is only one bond. Pi bond is like two bonds, so there is perpendicular. So these sigma holes, pi holes, because these are chemical bonding, and sigma hole is along the extension of a sigma bond, so that's why the name sigma, and pi also like perpendicular to the pi bond, so the name pi bond, pi hole.
I see. So is a pi hole something that can be shut? So you could say, yeah, because there's an expression in English to shut your pie hole, which means to close your mouth, because that's where you put your pie. I was wondering, Maybe that's why they,
I do not know about that.
You didn't know
but
about
when
it?
I was just searching about these pi holes, I just saw so many different things. Before that, in my mind, pi hole means only chemical bonds.
Oh. No, it literally means mouth. It's slang for mouth.
Okay.
Oh, stick that in your pie hole. I'm just going to make sure the chat's 30 seconds behind us. I'm just giving them a chance if they have any burning questions about pie holes. Yeah, oops. This is not helpful. Hold on. I lost. There we go. Okay. That's fine. Did you have anything you wanted to add? What do you think? Sorry, what was the significance of the calcite in that last slide?
No, well, I was just the significance of calcite is the minerals. Before knowing about these minerals, what I mean is that I was just collecting data, and I always get encountered these small crystals. But minerals as such are so colorful, and so that's why I thought of putting some picture of minerals, and especially this one. I was looking for minerals in Japan, and then I saw this calcite, which is normally not so common in Japan. So in that way, it is special. And also, like crystals, like minerals, these are naturally occurring crystals and so colorful and beautiful. So it appeals everyone.
I see. Here's a slightly unrelated. I mean, it's related. This is something you brought up, but it's not maybe completely connected. But I think this was Dawn had this question. On your chart about X-rays, you had airport and medical X-rays pointing to different energies. Was that real, or was that just to illustrate your point?
Actually, I got the picture from Wikipedia. So I do not know exactly what range they use for scanning and what range for mammography or things. But for these hard X-ray and soft X-ray, these regions, in this picture, it says everything in the hard X-ray region. So particular which one, that I do not know. But in the X-ray crystallography, we use the hard X-ray one so that it can get effects.
I see. Kind of. I see. I mean, I don't actually. I gotta say, yeah, I don't understand enough about. I'll have to have Dawn give me a tutoring session at some point on.
So meaning it is hard X-ray, meaning it is high energy, so that it does not get absorbed, but it crosses. So that's why while scanning, it has to pass through. If it gets absorbed, then we do not see actually.
Oh,
that's
okay. Why. Okay. Yeah. No. I mean, I just didn't think. I thought frequency was the only measure that was like important. I didn't realize that you could also have like high energy, low energy.
The same thing. The frequency is connected to the energy, and
okay. So like
all the wavelengths. So either high wavelength or low energy in that way.
All right. Now I'm okay. Now I feel stupid, but that makes sense. Okay, but that's fine. I'm just the MC. I'm not supposed to know everything. If they wanted a scientist, they should have hired a scientist to do this. I was not.
But thank you. I mean, while preparing for the talk, actually, I never bothered about why the name is gallic acid. Suddenly, I saw, it came from oak galls. Okay.
Yeah.
It makes things interesting.
Definitely. How hard is it today? Rod, thank you for jumping in there and saving me. How hard is it these days to determine the structure from the Fourier X-ray image?
Actually, for a single crystal structure, if we have a very good quality, it is not hard at all. It is just pressing buttons. So only if pressing buttons, meaning not someone's button, computer, if we press button, we get the structure. So only in crystallography, so that's why it is a very routine and established technique. But this high experimental charge density means we do not just do the routine structure solve, but we can also get the electron density distribution. So for that we need for the measurement we need high quality crystals, and also for the experimental we need some special, like we need to collect high resolution data. So there are something we need to consider, but still it is also very established, meaning in a routine data set, maybe it is over by 3-4 hours. In charge density experiment, maybe if it will go like 1-2 days. But in synchrotron facilities, it will be it will be over very soon, like 1 hour experiment is over. But as you know, in synchrotron facilities, getting the facilities, money is a problem, and then everything is. But of course, all these are very important, and it is good that we have access to all these.
As you know, you say about the synchrotron. I know nothing about the synchrotron. I mean, like, I've heard of it. Rod, who you were answering the question for, I'm sure knew that.
Okay.
As you know. No, it's funny.
Sorry about
No,
that.
no, it's not at all. I'm probably the most ignorant person involved in watching or responding to this talk right now. So.
Not really. I am also just been to synchrotron facilities as a user, so I also don't know much about all the details.
Well, you've been to as a user, you've been to. No. What I mean is that, as you know, it's really hard to get access to a synchrotron. I'm like, okay. I mean, I don't even like. I kind of barely. I think it's something big, and that's about all I know of a synchrotron. I think maybe they used it in Ghostbusters to catch ghosts. I can't remember. But I think. Okay, I'm just going to vamp for about 10 more seconds to make sure there aren't any more questions coming in from YouTube. Yeah, I think, but I think that's that pretty much I think wraps it up. Unless you have anything you want to add. What got you interested in this field in the first place?
So why I am interested into this?
Yeah.
Actually, somehow I land up in a crystallography group, but afterwards, so initially for me, everything was very, very different because, but then the more I started doing it becomes interesting. So that's why I was telling, right, I was just preparing some crystals using routine techniques and all picking up just small crystal, put in the diffractometer, collect data, that's all. But when I just saw first time minerals in front of me, they are really exist. So these are that I mean, it's a long gap, of course. And also in the same time, the Fourier transform, I am fascinated about it, though I do not understand it properly. So these different constructs, so when we get the diffraction pattern, it is actually in the reciprocal space. It is not in the real space. So how to get the structure? And now everything is so automated, but just before like 100 years or sometime, still people could figure out the structure. So it's such a rich field. So it fascinates me, and actually it started, the more I started going along it becomes more interesting to me.
That's interesting. Sorry, what you just said now about the Fourier imaging, I'm just thinking back to the diagram you showed. Do they still use, it said like photograph, they said like they've got a film layer. Is that still the case, or do they use some kind of sensor now?
Yeah, we do not use the photographic 2-dimensional image. So right now it is normally CCD detector, so 3-dimensional detector, but still we have spots. So from these spots we do the integration and then do the. So one very maybe phase problem, I do not know, maybe it is you have heard or you have not heard maybe. In crystallography the phase problem is very special. So that's why like in the visible, in the lens, actually we do not, we in the microscope, the phase problem is not there because we do not stop the light. Mm-hmm. But in the X-ray diffractometer, X-ray analysis, we stop the light because we have the pattern. So the phase information is lost. So now so that's why there are various methods, direct methods, Patterson methods to assume the phase. And from this phase and then from the experiment, actually we get the structure factor. So the intensity, we get only the spots. So that means only intensity. So from this intensity, and it is interesting. So but maybe
no, go.
I should know how to explain it properly. Well, okay.
No, finish. You're looking at Rod is sitting on the edge of his seat right now, going, I want to hear the end of this. I want to hear the end of this.
Yes. So this diffraction pattern, the reciprocal space is a mathematical construction to help us to get the structure back. So this Fourier synthesis is it is applicable to many other applications also. But in the X-ray crystallography, so we from the structure factor and electron density, they are related through the Fourier transform equations. So it is a concept which helps us to understand. And some people who have developed this code, they understand it more in detail. So right, I mean, I started crystallography with when everything is automated, so it is always going back, but it's interesting.
Lucky you. That's like when I see
Yes.
someone who's like using a computer and didn't have to like physically assemble it by themselves. I'm kind of jealous. But sorry, just going back, because I asked you how you got started, and you're like, oh, I got put into a group. Wait, when did you get put into a group that was doing cluster? Because it sounds to me, in my imagination, you're like sitting there in elementary school, and it's like, okay, now this group over here, you guys are the quantum entanglement group, and crystallography group is here, and
No, it so happened I joined Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore as a integrated PhD student. So after finishing our masters, we have to select our groups. So somehow I landed in crystallography group. But I think I am lucky that I was in that group and started doing it. My supervisor is Professor T.N. Guru Rao. I don't know if anyone from there is watching or not, but.
So as an offshoot, do you have like crystals sitting around your apartment? Is this
My apartment, actually very small part of minerals now I have, but not a full one. I am not a collector or anything, so all these are so much fascinating to me. But yes.
I just wondered.
Maybe
I was wondering if
later
you study that, then like you have no use for that. Or on the other hand, if you have like big pieces of like agate sitting in the window or anything like that.
As of now, no, but in future, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're, yeah. I was gonna say you're based in Japan right now, or
I am. I came here in Japan for University of Tsukuba, and then right now I am looking for jobs and searching for jobs and also doing the work. Let's see.
yeah. So I was gonna say you
So
probably
I
have a
am
very
not
small
based
place.
in Japan, so I do not know where I will be.
No, but
So
what I
maybe
mean
that
is you have a small place to live, so not a lot of space for rocks, for putting big crystals.
But that okay, this is an important factor, but also it does not matter. Maybe if I can carry my luggage, I can carry some little box of minerals also.
Yeah, if it's
But
a little
of course,
box,
not a
yeah.
huge room. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, the big piece of quartz.
No, not possible.
Okay, so I think that's it. Unless you have anything else to add, I think that wraps it up for this talk. I'm not seeing any questions coming in on the through the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
much.
It is such a nice platform, and I enjoyed very much actually. And thank you for these interactions at the last for these different questions.
Yeah, well, I think that happens sometimes. Someone, poor Hiroyuki comes with all this math stuff, and everyone just wants to know about the penguins. So frequently it happens. Our guests get questions that are somewhat tangential to their actual talks. Okay, so I'll say thank you. I'm just now gonna flip over to my final set of slides here. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so right, I'm just gonna no, wrong button. I'm just gonna mute you if you don't mind. So good night. And here we go. Sorry, everybody. Just gotta find the window that is buried under here. Oops, just a second. Okay. All right. Whoop, scroll. All right, where was I? Rumpa. Anyway, again, thank you so much. And a big thank you to our other two speakers, Alex and Hiroyuki. Thank you to Dawn and Ian and Bruce and Coco and Joan and Selena and Melvin and Rio. This distancing thing sucks. It sucks, guys. Huge thank you to my co-boss Amanda for being the alternator that powers this old-timey car cigarette lighter that we call Nerd Night Tokyo. And finally, a big thank you to all of you for joining us online. If this is live, all 22 of you who are watching right now. Please remember, we'll be back in November with another gaggle of 3 smart speakers. Follow us on social media. Just search Nerd Night Tokyo, again, Nite, wherever you use social media. Or even better, join our mailing list. We probably sent you a link to that in our reminder email today, and there is a link in the YouTube description as well. And we'll announce the next date. No, we won't announce the next date as soon as we have it. We have the next date. It is November 13th. That That's what I get for not carefully rewriting my little blurb here. Here we go. Just a reminder to check out that podcast I mentioned earlier. Go and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Search either Miss Charlotte or Wayward Readers in the podcast app of your choice, or you can go to waywardreaders.com and listen to it there. It's a lot of fun. Okay, in case you joined us super late, just a reminder that Nerd Night Tokyo is a fundraiser for the Yokohama Theater Group. If you enjoyed yourself tonight and you are able to, please head over to ytg.jp and support us. That is also where you will find our wonderful, very naked beakers. You're welcome. From Yokohama, Japan, for Nerd Night Tokyo, this is Andrew Wilner bidding you good night, and we'll see you next time, when you can also, again, be there and be square. And good night, everybody. Boop, 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 boop. Sorry, I'm singing because I'm doing the transition here. That's normally not the kind of thing I would do on the feed. But good night, everybody. See you next month.